as sugar settles, or these cells that have sugar, they start to settle on this blood vessel wall. They start to attract other sticky cells, and now we form these lumps in the blood vessel. Because these are attracting each cell. Any cell that is passing in is attracted by these sticky cells, it sticks on it, sticks on it, sticks on it. Now we have these lumps all over the blood vessel. Inside the blood vessel, we have these small lumps. Those lumps are now starting to narrow the diameter of the blood vessel. All right? Now, on the blood vessel, as they stick here, they make the wall start to become thick, 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 thick. That thickening and narrowing of blood vessels is what we call atherosclerosis. Now realize we are also trapping red blood cells. So we are making them very sluggish. And these blood cells, these red blood cells, are supposed to actually carry oxygen to the tissues. So we have actually already reduced, not only have we reduced the diameter, the reduced blood amount that is going to the tissues, we have also reduced the amount of red blood cells that are sending every oxygen into the tissues. Now the tissues start to struggle because they don't have oxygen. They start to struggle because there's limited blood flow towards those tissues. So therefore, nutrition is limited. If there's an injury in those tissues, the healing process is very low and very slow, because sugar is also trapping the white blood cells, and for them to flow towards the wounds for healing is a long time. That's why most diabetics have problems with wound healing, because sugar traps the white blood cells. And now as the sugar settles on this blood vessel wall, it starts to cause the corrosion, rusting, corroding the levels of these endothelial cells. They are being corroded. And as the corrosion happens, what do we expect? A reduction in LPS, the lipoprotein lipase enzyme. Therefore, any fat that is in blood will survive. And because we have these lumps in the blood vessels and we are narrowing the diameter, any fat globule can actually clog the smallest artery. So those small arteries, because realize, we start with a bigger artery and then it decussates into smaller arteries so that it can actually supply the heart muscles. So the coronary arteries are very small arteries that supply the heart muscles. So therefore, these smaller arteries, if they have those lumps inside them, they can easily clog. And as they clog, there is limited blood flow towards the heart muscles. Now we are causing ourselves a condition called a heart attack, myocardial infarction. It starts with angina pectoris. Angina pectoris is basically when you have that limited blood flow and then you start having pains, the chest pains that radiates to the left hand and to the back. That's angina. And then from there, as it dies completely, we have a heart attack, because infarction means death, necrosis. So now we have a heart attack. The heart is not functioning. So then how do you blame the heart? How did you even find a place to call it a heart disease instead of calling it a vascular disease? So when you focus your mind on the heart disease, every effort goes to treating the heart, including a surgery for the heart. But do you treat the blood vessels? Do you treat the blood vessels? Do you change what caused the clogging of the blood vessels? One agent, the sugars. You see that? Also, let me tell you one thing. We destroy this integrity of this blood vessel by these endothelial cells through smoking, cigarette smoking. Please start quitting that smoke. The shisha. Anything smoke, let it go. The radicals that are very inflammatory, there, my friend, you can't handle them. Alcohol is part of that. Wheat is there. Inflammatory seed oils are there. You see that? And when I say sugar, I mean sugar in all forms. Because at the end of the day, even fructose will be converted to glucose. And in blood, we have glucose. So that's the problem. So those heart attacks that you people complain about, that you are so scared about, oh, they are coming. Imagine you being scared of a heart attack and you're eating those inflammatory foods. What do you expect? As I was doing this research, I went to the WHO website and I was saying the top 10 causes of death, diseases that cause death, the top 10. Number 1 is ischemic heart disease. One of the reasons why I decided to talk about it is ischemic heart disease. It's actually 13% of deaths in the world. Ischemic heart disease. Number 2, they're still classifying COVID-19 as part of it. I don't know where they classify COVID-19 vaccines, but COVID-19 is number 2 at 8.8 million deaths every year. Number 3, strokes. We call them cerebrovascular accident or cerebrovascular disease. 10% of deaths. But do you realize, we've talked about stroke before, do you realize that the causes of stroke and the causes of heart disease are the same? So which tells you the top 3 diseases, remove just COVID. So on top 3, 2 diseases are caused by the same thing. But they're actually top 3 of the causes of death worldwide. Number 4, COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. People who smoke cigarettes know this one very well. We calculated the pack years in a life, if you remember. Number 4, lower respiratory tract infections, where we have pneumonia, bacterial, viral, or fungal, where we have bronchitis, acute bronchitis to be specific, not the chronic one, where we have influenza that causes severe pneumonia, where we have whooping cough, where we have TB, and you realize TB is also number 10 on the list of diseases of causes of death. So TB is number 10, but TB is also number 5. Lower respiratory tract infections. We have COVID is also there, and then aspiration pneumonia, where you inhale the vomit, you inhale paraffin, and all these things. All right, and people who have a reflux disease know very well this one is a problem. People who have a reflux disease, if you don't fix that gut, if you don't concentrate the stomach acid, and then you keep on suffering from a reflux disease, at some point you start to inhale that stomach content, and that will cause you a lot of pneumonia. Higher. Diabetes is number 8. So let's jump from number 5 and go ahead to number 8. Diabetes. How is diabetes not number 1 on this one? Yeah? If you've been here for all that time, how is diabetes coming in as number 8? Next to kidney disease. Of course, kidney disease is a complication of diabetes. Heart disease and ischemic heart attack is a complication of diabetes. But the reason why ischemic disease is number 1 and diabetes is number 8 is because they've ignored the sugar part. And number 2, they have blamed the fat, the cholesterol. So even if you go and just Google ischemic heart disease, you will see, they will tell you there are plaques, the fat plaques that break from cholesterol in the blood vessels that cause you clogging of these arteries and block it. Now, when they say that, you're afraid of the fats. That's why you don't eat eggs so much. You're afraid of eggs. Because you're thinking that the cholesterol that's coming from the egg will clog my arteries and cause me a heart attack or a stroke. Yeah? That's true, right? Yeah. That's why you're saying if I eat all these saturated fats, they will clog my arteries and I get a stroke. And I get a heart attack. I'll get a kidney disease. If I was the one who was doing this classification, I'll put diabetes as number 1. And pre-diabetes. Because most of us are pre-diabetic, but they just don't know. You will see a fat person walking into a lab, taking a blood sugar test, and it turns negative. So he comes out and says, oh, you know what, me, I don't have diabetes. I'm looking at you and I'm just saying, you don't have diabetes, but you're pre-diabetic. So you're basically waiting for the bomb. Most of you are pre-diabetic. Just tell me what you're eating, tell me the frequency of eating, and then tell me the level of activity. If you're eating so much carbohydrates, if you never fast, so you're taking 3+ meals a day, if your level of activity is very low, I am certain that this one, pre-diabetes, is there. It's just a matter of time. And it takes you about 10 to 30 years to move from a pre-diabetic state to a diabetic state. Possibly that's the reason why most of you will die from diseases like maybe pneumonia, which rely on your immunity. And then you say, alikufa pneumonia. But the truth is they died from a low immunity that was caused by pre-diabetes. Because your body is designed to have a high immunity to protect itself from diseases. So you die from a disease that actually involves low immunity. Right? And then we say he died from this disease. But if we go deeper into it, we say what caused this disease is a bacteria. How did he end up getting this bacteria? It's because his immunity was compromised. Then the bacteria conquered. And before we realized, it was resistant, and then he passed on. Things that require your immune system. Pre-diabetes lowers your immune system. So does diabetes. They are the same. The only difference is one is just basically filling the fat cells, and the other one, the fat cells are already full. So by the time we are confirming you diabetes through these random blood sugar tests and the fasting blood sugar tests, you have been pre-diabetic all through anyway. You see that? So you need to move on from that. You need to understand that. So if you are consuming a lot of wheat, a lot of ugali, rice, and all those things, and then your level of activity is actually compromised, and then you have 3 meals a day plus snacking in between, of course, pre-diabetes is actually one of the questionable conditions there. So I'll put diabetes as number 1 and pre-diabetes. And then all these others are just complications of diabetes. Ischemic heart disease, complication of blood sugars and body sugars. COVID-19, complication of low immunity. That's why people who have diabetes suffer the most on COVID. Strokes, complication of diabetes. Kidney disease, complication of diabetes. So actually 1, 2, 3, 4, even tukianza hata 6, 7 utaona all these conditions, most of them 90% if not 98% are sugar problems. Why don't we drop the sugars then? We don't want, right? Why would I drop sugar? I love my pancakes, right? They have some sugar there. I love my cakes on birthdays, right? They have sugars. I love my short tea with some sugar, right? If not sugar, I use honey, right? Oh, I love fruits. Fruits are healthy. They have vitamins. Doctor, what are you saying? That I'll drop fruits? No, I know they are sweet, but that is natural sugar, right? Oh, so your liver knows natural sugar. Eh? So your stomach knows you ate a fruit. Does it? Or the one who saw the fruit? In the stomach is a starch. In the blood is fructose. In the liver is sugars. Fructose. Oh, you love your brown ugali because it comes from, it's a natural one, brown ugali. But you think your liver knows colors. You think your stomach knows that was brown ugali. It knows starch. Convert it to glucose, absorb, send it to the liver. It's processed as glucose. Give him fats. Right? You think your body knows honey or sugarcane? Oh, sugarcane is natural sugar. Very natural. You think your body knows that this is ugali from Aposhombe? Or this is brown chapati? Nowadays, brown chapati is sold very expensively. Why? Because it is considered healthy. Considered very healthy. Just the same way, honey. Honey, asali ni bei. It's natural sugar, so don't worry about it. Yeah. So don't believe the lie that fats are actually clogging your arteries. You've not been eating fats. How did you end up having a heart attack?